you today and yesterday and also tomorrow. I want to announce that we have a $100,000 challenge from Pastor Jetson Franklin of Free Chapel Church, who has already invested $1 million for the Grove and Grow Playground Kingdom and $1 million for bomb shelters. He will graciously match every dollar up to $100,000 for mental health services in the Eshkol region for our resilience centers. There's an incredible need for therapy in that region right now for all ages, young children, teenagers, parents, and older adults with PTSD. On Thursday, we will have a therapist from the region speaking on one of our calls, so please stay tuned for that. I am also incredibly honored to be able to share that Jewish National Fund USA is sending over $250,000 tonight as an immediate relief fund for families temporarily relocating from the Gaza Envelope. At $250 per family, we were able to help 1,000 families reach safety tonight. After a brief update, we will have two incredible speakers. The first, Major Benzi Zimmerman, followed by our Tel Aviv firefighter, Sergeant Yaakov Guttman. A few updates first, a few national updates. Hamas and the Jihad Islami have fired 3,400 rockets from Gaza in the past 7 days. That's the highest daily rate of rocket fire that Israel has faced in the history of our country. Schools in the Gaza Envelope are still closed until further notice. In northern Israel, 6 or 7 mortars were launched from Lebanon. They landed in Lebanon near Miskav up north. Our Maqam communities are continuing in full force. Jewish and Arab residents of Akko's old city came out to show the true colors of the city. Bringing cleaning equipment from home, they put out what remained from the smoldering fire and tried to clean up the surrounding area as much as possible. They continued reaching out to the communities and conducted over 130 activities in Ofakim for the children in the bomb shelters, over 100 activities in Beersheba, and helped over 100 senior residents with getting them food and medicine so they can stay in their safe rooms. We need $150,000 to continue helping them do their work. The Maqam communities in Lod have partnered with our other affiliate, Hashomer Chadash, to go door to door to check in on the Israeli Jews and to make sure that they are okay. People are afraid to leave their homes, but they may need food or medicine or even medical attention. The communities are ensuring that no need goes unmet. Hashomer Chadash continues their community outreach by renovating the burnt synagogue and school in Lod and adopting families from the south in need of a little peace and quiet. They're in need of a $300,000 match. The Arava communities are welcoming over 120 families into their region, making sure that they get some much needed quiet and fun. They all celebrated the Shavuot holiday together, an experience that won't be forgotten. This is approximately $250 per family that is needed. AMHSI kids continue their program uninterrupted. They gathered to begin the celebration of the holiday on Sunday, which is emotionally overwhelming with over 220 students. Framing the holiday in the light of the complex situation in Israel, knowing fully well how extraordinary it is that we are all here together once more, an experience that won't be forgotten. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce our speaker for this evening/morning. Our first speaker is Major Benzi Zimmerman, and followed by Sergeant Yaakov Guttman. Major Benzi Zimmerman is currently the head of the U.S. Corporation Desk at IDF International Corporations Division, J5, steering the operational cooperation, coordination, and deconflictation between the IDF and the U.S. combatant commands, and senior leader engagement between the forces. Born to American Olim in Israel, Benzi has been proudly serving the state of Israel for the past 10 years in various positions in the field. He's been Combat Engineering Battalion, Combat Support Company, and in the International Corporation Division. Benzi is married to Samantha from originally Great Neck, New York, and has one daughter. Major, the floor is yours.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's my honor to be here tonight. With your permission, I'm just going to share my screen real quick. So hopefully you guys could see this. I've been giving about 100 talks for military folks in the past couple of days, and it's always easier to do this with a screen. I don't know how you guys are going to do the questions, but I'm just going to talk for about 10, 15 minutes, give you a short rundown of what Yael just spoke about, what we're doing in the IDF, and please feel free to ask any questions, whether it's from why we started this, how we plan, or how we want to finish this. I'll be happy to answer as many questions as I can with time permitting. So Operation Guardian of the Wall started on May 10th, just about 9 days ago, where Hamas called Israel for a challenge and shot 6 rockets towards Jerusalem on the Jerusalem Day Eve, when thousands and thousands of Israelis were marching in the streets of Jerusalem, our eternal capital. Following that, IDF was unable to stand beholded, and we had to retaliate to that. And we responded with precision strikes on targets in Gaza Strip, which back and forth escalated to what we're calling today Operation Guardian of the Walls. In the past 9 days, as Yael mentioned earlier, 3,400 plus rockets have landed in Israel. The state of Israel from Netanya, basically in south, is under the state of emergency. When schools are closed everywhere from Tel Aviv and south, pretty much. I live in Modi'in, a quiet city a little bit outside of Jerusalem, and my daughter has been home since last Wednesday. So you can imagine what it's like, after Corona, restrictions were lifted just a couple of weeks ago. We're back home again. During this operation, Iron Dome, a joint Israeli and U.S. venture, has shown and proven to be an operational magic wonder with over 1,200 interceptions with a high rate of almost 91% of interception. This is just unbelievable, and we're so grateful for the hard work of our air defense combat units all over Israel. Unfortunately, throughout the past 10 days, 12 Israeli civilians were killed. Out of them, 1 IDF soldier was killed last week on a border attack near Netiv HaSara on the Gaza Envelope. And just today, 2 Thai workers, foreign workers, were killed in bombing in the Eshkol Regional Council. Throughout the conflict, give or take 300 civilians were injured. Out of them, 110 were injured from rocket fire, and nearly 200 staff are suffering from shock or anxiety due to that attack. In the next, since we established this operation, we're determined to bring an end to this imminent threat to Israeli civilians, to reestablish security, and this will require a longer operation. This will not be a one and done 2-day deal, as Prime Minister Netanyahu said just last week and also last night. This will require an enduring operation, will require the resiliency of the Israeli Homefront Command, the civilians of this wonderful country, so we can weaken and deter Hamas and the jihad. On the left picture, you could basically see the whole thing in one picture. While the attack is coming, the picture is mirrored, but it should be from the left, from the south. The attack is coming from Gaza, a barrage of hundreds and hundreds of rockets throughout the past couple of days, where Tel Aviv has been under fire multiple times. And what we're trying to do is defend our people. Buildings in Petah Tikva, a quiet residential town, usually is a joke for Israelis. So there's nothing going on over there, has been under fire. A house in Ramat Gan was hit. A bus was on fire right after it was struck in Holon. I was 10 minutes away from that. I heard the blast, unbelievable. And very lucky that, unfortunately someone was seriously injured in that attack, but very lucky that it wasn't worse than what it is. I'm just going to pass the next one. Immediately after the initial rocket barrage, the IDF initiated a defensive campaign. It's important that we emphasize that this is a defensive campaign from the beginning. We carried out precision strikes against terror targets all over the Gaza Strip. Starting Thursday night, we started the majority or the most intense offensive operations, destructing and eliminating what we call the Gaza Metro. Tens and tens of kilometers of underground tunnels that are defensive in their quote unquote use, since they're not going into Israel. That's what we call the offensive tunnels, but they are meant to resupply Hamas Nakba brigades. They're meant to use for kidnapping soldiers if and when a ground operation may begin, and are meant to give shelter to senior leadership within Hamas. The operation goals are to bring an end to the imminent threats to Israeli civilians. If Hamas stops firing rockets onto Israel and we are able to reestablish security for our people, only then we will be able to say enough is enough, and we could discuss ceasefires or seizing this operation. Want to weaken the Turk Hamas? This is very hard. This is a very hard goal to quantify. At the end of the day, 1967 was the most glorious victory of the IDF, and only 5 and a half years later, we had the Yom Kippur War. So, what is deterring and how long? That's a long question. It's a great question. We've been able to have reasonable quiet for the past 7 years, and Hamas decided to challenge us now when we were forced to go out to this operation. Overall, the IDF conducted almost 900 strikes in the past week and a half. Most of them were precision strikes against terror infrastructures, against the tunnels, against key leadership in the Hamas leadership, and against facilities that are storing rockets, against launchers, and against maritime capabilities on the beaches of Gaza Strip. When we talk about picking the strikes or picking the targets, it's a very hard task in the IDF. One of my jobs in this campaign is to, as you said before, deconflict these operations. And when people ask, what does deconflict mean? That means that when we have a UN school in the heart of Gaza City, and Hamas is cynically using that place to store rockets, to fire rockets, to store or hide senior leadership of Hamas or jihad in these facilities, I have to deconflict that. I have to make sure that the UN people get out over there. I have to make sure that if Jordan wants to bring in aid, we allow that. And Hamas is using that in a very cynical way. Just this morning, when we brought in 3 trucks of a field hospital, allowed that to come in from Jordan to Gaza, or we're allowing gas supply into Gaza, our quote unquote enemies, we were caught under fire while doing that. So we deconflict those operations. We pick only military infrastructure. Unfortunately, Hamas is using civilian infrastructure, civilian buildings, high risers in the Gaza Strip to store these weapons or to conduct military operations. We've been seeing munition depots. We've been seeing intelligence headquarters within buildings. You may have heard the other day when we struck a building that had a lot of international media over there. That was basically the Hamas intelligence directorate was sitting over there. The terror forces are trying to move in and out of Gaza into the open field, shoot anti-tank missiles towards our forces, then they go back into the civilian population, into the neighborhoods surrounding the Gaza Strip, by Khan Yunis in the north, and also down south by Kerem Shalom. One of our greatest successes in this operation was targeting senior commanders of Hamas. And we always get asked, well, you're not going after Yahya Sinwar, you're not going after Muhammad Def. Well, we're trying to, and they're undercover. But it is very critical that these battalion commanders, the division commanders, are all senior leadership in Hamas, and we're able to target them and decommission some of these battalions for hours and hours. And we're seeing that, and less rockets coming out to Israel since we've been doing that. So as I said earlier, the strikes are conducted in a very precise way. You could see in this in the pictures over here that once we strike these tunnels in the streets, they're right under houses. They're right in the neighborhood of Rimal, the Rimal neighborhood in the city of Gaza, which is very unfortunate, of course. And this was a magnificent strike conducted by the IDF, or the Israeli Air Forces. Over 160 airplanes were doing this simultaneously, and something that we're going to talk about for years on how we did this in such close coordination with the ISA, the Shabak. and other entities of the security forces in the Gaza Strip. You can see here that we've been able to find, pinpoint and target key leadership of Hamas. These people are very, they're being able. Okay, I do not want to see that. Okay, could we stop that? Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here.
Guys, I apologize again. We are really trying to get all the Zoom bombers off. They seem to be hacking in the back, but we will continue to try to do that. Maybe Benzi just
Yeah, I stopped sharing my screen if that's okay with you, and I will continue my brief like this. I'm so sorry about that. So the IDF and the Shabak carried out complex and first of its kind operations to simultaneously eliminate a number of senior commanders in the Hamas terrorist organization in the city of Gaza, also in Khan Yunis. The senior commanders played key parts in the Hamas general staff, as we call it. So if you imagine just the senior leadership of an organization all wiped out in one day, 6 of them simultaneously, and the head of the Hamas military wing, Mohammed Def, is left alone in this operation against Israel. The commander of the Western Jabalia Company was killed. The senior research and development officer, the head of the military intelligence department, the head of the counter espionage department, the head of technical military department, and Hamas were all taken out, as well as hundreds of Hamas operators. Fortunately, as I said earlier, we've been encountering more than 3,400 rockets to Israel. Out of them, 113 made a direct impact into Israel. 138 if you include Iron Dome shrapnels onto that fell from the sky. 207 total rockets landed in Israel altogether, and the remainder are in open fields. As of today, 12 people lost their lives, as we said earlier, including an IDF soldier. Over 300 Israelis were treated by first responders, by Ichud Hatzalah and by Mada, and this includes 105 civilians injured by direct hits. Around 200 of them were wounded while seeking shelter or from shock and anxiety. I think the main message, and this is where I want to leave you guys and enable you to ask questions. If we look at Sinwar, Yahya Sinwar, the beginning of this conflict, he was all about liberating Jerusalem. This all started on the Jerusalem Day. So from the liberator of Jerusalem, he's destructing Gaza. Hamas is the sole responsible for what's going on in Gaza right now. If they want to encounter the IDF in combat, IDF obviously does not want this. We want peace and stability for the residents of Israel and for the people of Gaza. But if they want to fight us, we're going to fight back. We're going to fight relentlessly with all our power, do as much as we can to minimize civilian casualties, but also hold Hamas accountable for their actions in the Gaza Strip. So that's all I have for you guys. And if you guys have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Major. Yes, I actually do have a couple of questions that came in. But first, I would like to invite a very special guest to ask you a question, President of Jewish National Fund USA, Dr. Saul Lizerbaum. Saul?
Hi, Benzi. First, thank you for your service. And I have to imagine that the unfavorable reporting that you get in the U.S. media and around the world is bothersome. I have two questions. Do you sort of get used to that, number one, and just focus on your mission? And number two, is there anything we can do as individuals in social media to help mitigate some of the unfavorable reporting that's seen in the media?
Sir, thank you so much. And it's great to be here with you. And thank you for all your organization does, obviously. So yeah, I guess I'm less cynical than most people. I am used to this unbiased reporting against Israel. It's not something that we're unused to, but I think that if we look at this conflict, we're actually seeing, the media is one thing, but the international support, the international consensus, especially from Europe this time, is something that we're not used to. It's great. Also, from our new partners in the Gulf. We're not seeing them condemning us in the way that they've done in the past. So that means we're doing something right. People are seeing that the old equation of David and Goliath isn't necessarily the right equation. We do not have to be the weaker ones in order to be the right ones. We could be strong, we could be proud, and still be the ones in the right. It's very obvious that Hamas was the one who instigated this fight, and we have all our rights for self-defense, and that's our main message over here. So the media may be unbiased, but we're unbothered by that. The great leadership of the IDF has shown great faith in the combat soldiers and the combat units, and we're very focused on the mission at this point. We're not tired, and people have resiliency, so we're just going to push forward until our political echelon is going to tell us to stop. In terms of what you guys could do to help us, I'm not in a position where I could direct civilians, especially foreign nationals, on what to do, but I think that sticking to the truth is my main message, and we know what the truth is, and we're just going to keep on spreading that message. I gave a talk last week to another organization, and I'm just so proud of how many people from all over the world have our back, have our support, and if you guys spread the message, be true to what you believe in. Obviously, we're not always perfect, and we're open to criticism when appropriate, but at this point right now, we're just spreading the news, spreading what's right, and hopefully we could finish this conflict with as minimal civilian casualties on both sides of the conflict.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Major. I'm just checking in the chat. I think that the questions really that are echoing what Dr. Laser-Brown just asked us. If you ever get frustrated with speaking out and telling the truth and talking over and over, and just want to throw your remote into the television or smash your computer because you just can't hear one more celebrity tweet something that's offensive to the Jewish people and to the state of Israel. Does that ever happen to you? Yeah,
but the military taught me that I don't have to throw me the remote. I have a nice LG in my room, and I'm not gonna break that just because of my frustration. It just motivates me. It just means that my mission in international cooperation is to wake up in the morning and do all I can in my power to ensure that our cooperation is very strong, that our allies and I'm privileged to work with the U.S. Armed Forces, our strongest and most dearest ally, see the back and support we have from them. The media can report what they want. I saw a member of Knesset, Naftali Bennett, the other day, and what he asked, if you ask the reporter one question after he asks you that, and just ask him how many Jews have to die, how many Israeli citizens have to be killed in order for this fight to be justifiable, and then they have nothing to say. So I'm not frustrated, or we're going to continue pushing, as I said earlier, and then we're going to deal with the hard questions later. IDF has a great mechanism for self-criticism, for self-investigation, and I could truly say from firsthand basis that we're doing everything that we can at this time to ensure minimal civilian casualties on the other side, and definitely holding Hamas accountable for what they're doing in Gaza, putting their civilians in harm's way while we're put our civilians in safety and shelters for more than what they should be in this year.
Thank you so much for your time, Major. I know that I speak for everybody on this call that we pray that you get home safely and that you're with your family. And just thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, now, so our next call, we have actually a very special speaker, Sergeant Yaakov Guttman. I'm just going to make sure, are you on, Yaakov? Can you hear us? Miriam, do you see Yaakov? Is he unmuted?
Hey, Yael, מה נשמע?
Okay, there he is. Okay, so our very special speaker, Sergeant Yaakov Guttman from the Israeli Fire and Rescue Authority. Yaakov and I actually grew up together in the same circles in Jerusalem after he made Aliyah. I consider him a very close friend of mine, and of course I pray for his and all of the firefighters' safety every day. Yaakov made Aliyah from Bergenfield, New Jersey in 2006. He served in the IDF as a sniper, and he lives in Ra'anana with his wonderful wife and 2 little boys. He is currently part of the Special Motorcycle Unit. Yes, we have one of those with Fire and Rescue Authority in Tel Aviv. And he's been a firefighter in Israel for the past 7 years. Yaakov, I see that you're already exhausted by the way that you rubbed your face. So thank you so much for being here on the call with us today. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience over the past 2 weeks, being a firefighter, being called out, working nights and days? I see that you're tired, so thank you so much for being with us today.
Hey, Yael. Well, number one, thank you so much for having me. I always like being part of these calls. I always like seeing the love and appreciation from everybody. And it's always nice to always have that backing for us. Here in the fire department, especially in Israel, I'm going to start with the South, not even speaking about myself. The South has been nonstop. They're working 24, the shifts there are 24 hours on, 24 hours off. The guys down there are working insane hours. And then on top of that, when they get to go home and rest, and I put it in quotations, rest, they are dealing with bombs. They're dealing with sirens going off. They're dealing with their kids screaming. They don't know what's going on with their families. So I, in a sense, have it easy, you know, in comparison to them. So really my heart and all my thoughts go out to those guys down south and my brothers who are really fighting the good fight. On a personal note, I'm here in actually Yafo. I just got called up. I'm now going to be doing a 36-hour shift. You can see I'm actually in my fire truck here in Yafo. There have been some riots that have been going on. We have, for the past 2 weeks, I worked I'll just tell you what I did. I worked a 56-hour shift, Sunday through almost Tuesday morning. From that, went home for 24 hours, came back for another 36, went back for 24 hours, came back for 36, went home for another 24 hours, for 36 hours, and now I'm back for another 36-hour shift. So yes, this has been a very, very long and very hard time. Here in Yafo, there have been riots and rock throwing, and they've had something called a baktab, which is a multi cocktails. And they've been calling us in to come and work. And especially because I'm in a special unit and of my military background, they're more trusting with me to go out and go be in the more difficult places and to really give you know, an effect to people who are civilians, who are really not part of the Hamas and not part of the Jihad Islami and not part of the terrorist organizations, or even the hoodlums who are just trying to cause emotion. Commotion, not emotion. And it's heartbreaking here to really see that, you know, it used to be, you know, I know in Ramle Lod, there are people who are out there who used to go to their car mechanics and, you know, have coffee with them and sit and get their cars taken care of. And it was a great hand in hand. And people here in Yafo, the same thing. Unfortunately, now all those ties have been broken, and people here can't trust the person who's right down the block from you or your neighbor. It's so unfortunate. Imagine, you know, you live next to Mahmoud and you've lived there for 15, 20 years together. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he decides that he's going to be a hoodlum and start causing ruckus in your area. And it's really unfortunate for the Jews here, and even for some of the Arab civilians who are not, you know, not taking part of anything. It's horrible. They can't walk at night. They can't partake in things, and it's very hard. And for us as the fire department, just trying to go out, we have to go out every time we leave. We have to go out with the border police and making sure that they're protecting us and making sure that they're taking us through. And I mean, I carry a gun. You know, I have two small children at home that I want to come home to. We've had rocks thrown at us. We've had people who have, you know, tried to get us started. You know, it's called Me'ayem. It's to you know, to try to light us up and, you know, try to make it cause effect. Exactly. Thank you. Sorry, literally my Hebrew and my English have been totally mixed and matched over the past 2 weeks, and it's been very hard. You know, thank God I got home for some of Chag Shavuot. I was with my kids, thank God. Today I actually got very lucky. I was able to rent a bouncy castle for them. So I sprayed water and bounced in the bouncy castle with my kids. So I was very lucky to be able to do that today. And right in the middle of that, my wife screamed to me and said, "Hey, your phone's ringing, you gotta go." Picked up the phone and said, "Hey, Avi, what's going on?" He said, "Look, you gotta go back to the station." And I've just went from a bouncy castle, jumped on my motorcycle, came to the station, and now I'm here. And very soon, in about 10 minutes, I'm going into Yafo to 15 minutes, sorry, going into Yafo to go help out and see what we can do and make sure to calm down the situation there.
Wow, well, it seems that you've had a little bit of a crazy week. And of course, I pray, like everyone else on this call, that you get to go home safely to your family, if this will end soon. I'm gonna let you go and have that cup of coffee before you start your 36-hour shift. I assume you're gonna need it. Thank you so much, Yaakov, for letting us know a little bit about fire and rescue. Down below.
If anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer. I mean, I have a little bit of time. I'm more than happy to answer questions if anybody wants.
We have over 125 people on the Zoom call, so it'd be a little bit difficult, but I will send them your way if someone comes with a question. But thank you so much, Yaakov, for your time and for your service. And I hope to see you soon with your family.
I hope so. Yeah, thank you so much. And to everybody who's on this call, thank you guys so much for your love and support. It really, as much as you guys don't even realize, it makes such a difference to us that we know that people are caring. You know, we've seen the world news and we've seen how things are. And guys watch the news here all the time and we see it. And it's great to know that we have somebody who has our back and cares for us. And it's not about money or any of that other stuff or anything like political or anything else like that. It's really just about the achdut. It's about the unity of the Jewish unity, about bringing people together. And I really, Yael, thank you so much for this call and the opportunity to be able to be here and to unite people and to really get the Jewish people united. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Yaakov. Stay safe. I'll be
Will
very
do.
upset if you get hurt.
I won't. Don't worry. You know me.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Recap, everybody. I want to remind everybody that we have an incredible $100,000 gift challenge that I would love everybody to, be able to participate and to share. Miriam has posted the link down below in chat. $100,000 for mental health services in the Eshkol region. Whatever you can do, however you can get involved and active, I know that would be absolutely incredible. A reminder that tomorrow we'll be back at 7 p.m. Israel time, 12 p.m. Eastern, and 9 a.m. Pacific time, hopefully without the Zoom bombers. Good night from Israel, everyone. Bye.